It's your boy TTK back with another Gen 9 Monotype discussion video. Today, we're going to be talking about how the Kanto starters are doing in the Gen 9 Monotype metagame, or the better question is, how good are the Gen 1 starters actually in Gen 9 Monotype? Now, I'm always searching to be discussing new video ideas with my subscribers for certain metagames that I play, and definitely this is going to be a pretty ambitious project of mine. I want to try and talk about every single, generation of starters. So the first one is obviously Kanto, and Kanto Kanto has its guys, aka Charizard, the most overrated Pokemon of all time. But regardless, we're gonna actually see, despite their popularity, how viable they actually are in the Gen 9 multi-type metagame. So either way, before we get into talking about the Gen 1 starters, if you guys do enjoy this content and want to see some more from me, consider subscribing to the channel, join the kingdom. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of next year. I know it's definitely an achievable goal if we keep up the consistency, and I want to thank you guys for checking out the channel, giving us a lot of views. I see the Delibird video was doing numbers and I was like, damn bros, you guys really respect the Delibird grind, you get me? But either way, let us start off this video with we're going to be going by dex order, obviously. So it's always going to be the grass starter first, followed by the fire starter, then the water starter. So yeah, let's talk about Venusaur. So Venusaur just came back in the DLC 2 metagame, which only came out on only came out about 2 weeks ago. So you're probably thinking there isn't really enough time for Venusaur to have cooked already, but I do have to say that the overall consensus of the Gen 1 starters is that they're not really that good in the Gen 9 monotype metagame. Now, I do have to say that Venusaur has some niches here and there, but overall it's not a standard Pokemon or something that you'll ever really want to be using on a team unless you really want to give Venusaur a shot. Now, Venusaur is usable on both grass and poison type teams, obviously, because it's dual typed. So let's talk about how well Venusaur does on grass. Now, Venusaur again isn't really a Pokemon that you want to be using on grass, and I'll tell you the first reason why you don't want to be using Venusaur on grass. Now, you're looking at Venusaur's stats and you're like, it has some average bulk, it has 100 special attack, decent speed tier, like it could probably pull off both an offensive and a defensive role. Now, if you want to try and run Venusaur with a defensive role, you're going to be sorely disappointed because you already have Amoonguss for that job. Amoonguss shares the same typing, has a higher HP stat, might have a lower defense stat. 13 is somewhat notable, but the HP stat difference pretty much makes up for it, and also has less special defense. Now, you're probably thinking Venusaur is bulkier on the special, like, I would have to actually run some calcs to see if it's relative, just because the HP stat difference, if you invest, does make a difference, because you get 432 HP here and you get 364 here. So, they arguably could have equal special bulk, but Amoonguss definitely takes physical hits a lot better, and also has one of the most broken abilities in the game with Regenerator, which makes its job as a defensive Pokemon, has a much higher longevity compared to Venusaur, which has to rely on Synthesis for recovery, which obviously some defensive mons in this tier, don't have access to recovery moves at all, but Amoonguss has that option of, just swapping out and it gets a third of its HP back. So obviously, it's a much better defensive Pokemon than Venusaur, and if you look across the years, even in usage-based tiering, when is Venusaur ever higher than Amoonguss, in tiering? So, yeah, there's also that. Amoonguss also has Spore, which is one of the most broken moves in the game, and, Venusaur does have a sleep move. Obviously, it has Sleep Powder, but, 75% accuracy is not something you want to be relying on, compared to Amoonguss, which, is guaranteed putting something to sleep unless you're a grass type, or you have, the Vital Spirit, Insomnia, abilities, or even Comatose, for example. Again, not the most common ability, so more often than not, Amoonguss is sleeping something. So yeah, on the defensive side, Venusaur's outclassed. Now, on the offensive side of things, you could argue that, yeah, Venusaur could probably pull off something. It has, it has a secondary stab option, which, makes it more appealing compared to other special attackers that you could arguably run, like Blossom, or, what special attackers does grass even have? Like, you have Executor, which is too slow to actually get anything done, or you have Rotom Mo, which also is like just faster. So overall, like, on the offensive side, you don't really need Venusaur at all on the type, because like, you're gonna be running a grass team that has Amoonguss, you're gonna have Ogerpon, obviously, you're gonna have Meowscarada. You'll start building a grass team and start to realize that, oh man, I don't need a special attacker, because you just have other options. You could even give Hydra quadruple a chance. And then if you actually do want a special attacker, which probably isn't not investing in special attack investment at all, you still even have Sinistra, because Sinistra offers, you know, a good defensive type with Ghost, which gives a fighting immunity. It pairs well with Amoonguss, obviously. You know, Ghost threatens psychic type Pokemon. Amoonguss is weak to psychic types. Sinistra also has not Will-O-Wisp, but it has Strength Sap and Calm Mind to boost its special attack. Venusaur's only boosting option for his special attack is obviously Growth, which is only one stage outside of Sun, and yeah, Sinistra's just bulkier, can set up easier, and like, yeah, so in both situations Venusaur's outclassed both offensively and defensively. Now in terms of the niche that I was talking about that Venusaur could fulfill on grass, is the fact that, you know, if you want to run manual weather with, let's say, Whimsicott pranks the Sunny Day, you U-turn out into Venusaur, then Venusaur has a niche, because it has is the fastest chlorophyll mon, in my opinion, that's viable. I'm not counting Jumpluff, guys, don't think about Jumpluff, please. But yeah, Venusaur's the fastest chlorophyll mon, which means that it's able, well, not the fastest, you still have Lilligant Hisui, but again, you're not running chlorophyll Lilligant Hisui. I'm sorry, that Hustle's just a better ability on that thing. So you're the second fastest chlorophyll mon, ignoring regular Lilligant, and you know, you have Sludge Bomb, you have Weather Ball, and this is a threatening Pokemon. Like, don't get it twisted, this is a threatening Pokemon. You wouldn't really run Sludge Bomb, you'd run Earth Power. But yeah, this is just probably the best Venusaur set you could actually get going if you wanted to run manual weather on grass. But again, grass isn't in the best position, and you know, manual weather is always so gimmicky, because you have to spend a turn actually setting up Sunny Day, try and position Venusaur safely, because Whimsicott is not a slow Pokemon. Like, if you were like a prankster Pokemon with like no speed, you could get that slow U-turn in to get Venusaur in safely. But Whimsicott is so fast that you'll probably U-turn in first, Venusaur probably has to take a hit, and you're already having to run Life Orb, which means that, you know, your longevity is just cut down as well, which, to be fair, you do have Giga Drain, and +2 Giga Drain is probably going to OHKO things neutrally, and you're going to get back most of your HP, but regardless, still just a gimmick and a niche that Venusaur has. So overall, it's not a bad Pokemon per se, it's just more, you're not running it on grass. Now, moving on to Poison. Poison Venusaur, again, defensively, we've talked about it on grass. Amoonguss is just that guy on Poison as well, so you're not going to be running Venusaur, you know, defensively. And obviously Poison is known for its more bulkier team structures like Stall or Balance, and you don't really need a special attacker like Venusaur to really get the job done. The most offense you're going to be getting from a Poison team is running Iron Moth as a special attacker, which has a significantly higher special attack stat and speed than Venusaur. And you also have Sneasler, which, you know, offers a way of beating steel types, which, you know, Venusaur doesn't have stab on you know, Earth Power versus Sneasler's stab close combat. So overall, yeah, Venusaur just doesn't really belong on both of its types, which is a shame, to be honest, because like Venusaur and usage-based steering is able to, you know, run on Sun with like Torkoal, but obviously Torkoal's not a grass or a poison type, so you don't really get that manual Sun, I mean auto Sun, that Venusaur would really like to have. Now moving on to Charizard, I do believe, as much as I hate to say it, I really hate saying it, but Charizard is probably the best Gen 1 starter in Gen 9 Monotype. And to be fair, it is my favorite of the Gen 1 starters, but it's just because Charizard's just better than both Venusaur and Blastoise in my opinion. But regardless, talking about Charizard's place in the metagame, let's start off with Fire. Now, again, Charizard in a similar situation like Venusaur isn't offering anything both on the offensive or the defensive / utility side of things. Because if you look at Charizard defensively, these aren't defensive stats, bro. So like, these aren't defensive stats. Like 78 HP is like whatever, but you don't have like actual defensive stats. Like the only thing you could say arguably is that 85 special defense is like decent, but decent is the best you're getting. So you're not running Charizard as a defensive Pokemon, and even if you did want to run Charizard as a defensive Pokemon, you know, has Will-O-Wisp, it also lost Roost. Like Charizard does not have Roost, so that's just completely out of the picture. And if you're probably thinking, oh, Fire, you know, likes having the ground immunity because, you know, Fire is weak to ground, you know, you have two other Fire flying types which, you know, are doing Charizard's job a lot better. The first one being Moltres, which has its place on both Fire and flying teams because, you know, for flying, Moltres is bulky enough to handle Chienpao, which is one of the most threatening Pokemon in the metagame, and especially for a type that, you know, is weak to ice. Having Moltres as that ice neutrality is very good because Moltres has the bulk to take, you know, Chienpao's attacks. Obviously, Oko with a flamethrower, burn something on the switching, you know, all of that good utility options. And it also has Roost, so obviously he's able to carry out his job a lot better than if you're running Charizard. And then you have Talonflame, which also has a significantly higher speed tier than Charizard. You know, has a good stab move in Brave Bird, which Charizard is lacking, though it does have Hurricane, but, you know, Hurricane's one of the most inconsistent moves in the game. And it also has Flame Body, so you don't necessarily have to run Wisp on Talonflame. You can just get hit by a contact move from like a fighting type, for example, and, you know, you'll have a 30% chance of burning them. You also have Defog, which just gives, you know, Talonflame 10,000 times more utility than Charizard will ever have on both of its typings. So yeah, as you can see, defensive utility wise, Charizard is not doing anything. Now on the offensive side, I think this is where Charizard does shine a little bit and does highlight his niche for the type. Now Charizard hits very hard. Like, this is Chi-Yu Jr. in Sun, because all you need is the Sun from either Torkoal or Ninetales. Obviously you have the Drought ability here, and Charizard has a nifty ability called Solar Power, which, you know, boosts your special attack by 50% in the Sun. Now this is all Charizard does on fire. If you actually want to use fire, you run Fire Blast or Weather Ball, doesn't really matter. You run Air Slash. I think you got Scorching Sands back, so you might want to drop Fire Blast or Weather Ball, depending on how much damage you really want. Scorching Sands is good to, you know, cook Heatran in the Mirror matchup or in the Steel matchups, and you can continue running or spamming Fire-type moves. And then you have Overheat. Now, Overheat is 2-hit KO resists easily, like, it's just cooking. Overheat is cooking everything in the tier that is not immune to it. So this is Charizard's niche. It's probably the hardest special attacking Pokemon that Fire has access to, despite its lower special attack stat than, you know, the likes of Iron Moth, for example. If I show you guys Iron Moth and Chandelier, like, Charizard has a much lower special attack stat than these guys, but Solar Power plus Choice Specs easily just puts it above those guys. And yeah, you're 2-hit KO in Toxapex, Fizzdeath Toxapex or Weather Ball, you're Oko in, you're just doing a lot of damage. So this is Charizard's niche for the type. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's still a niche Pokemon because you're not running heavy duty boots, and if you have rocks up, you know, you're taking 50%, not to mention you're losing 12.5% of your HP when you have Solar Power active. So Charizard's longevity doesn't really exist, but you know, you can make it work, which is, you know, more than what I have to say about the next Pokemon I'm going to be talking about. Unfortunately, I would have to say that Blastoise lives a pretty sad existence in Monotype, because if we go over what we've talked about with Venusaur and Charizard, both of them have quite like complex niches, or just very specific niches that they can offer to both of their typings, which, you know, Charizard has the nuke in Fire Sun, and Venusaur has a potential manual Sunset in on grass teams. Now Blastoise is mono water, which means it's only usable on water teams, and it is just thoroughly outclassed in everything it wants to do, which isn't really anything that anyone's surprised about, because Blastoise just has, you know, slightly above average defensive stats and average offensive stats. Now you could say, oh, Shell Smash Blastoise actually seems like a decent win con. You know, you have Hydro Pump, you have Ice Beam, and you have options between Aerosphere, Dark Pulse, and all that good stuff. But you know what else can Shell Smash on water? You know, something, a water rock type, Dreadnought. It might not be Kabutops, it might not be faster than Blastoise, you're only 4 points slower, but you have a dual stabbing rock. You also have the coveted Edge Quake combination, which, fair enough, you don't get stab on the Quake part of it, but you still have a very strong move in Stone Edge. You have Liquidation, and you also have Earthquake. Like, why would you run Shell Smash Blastoise with just 85 special attack when you can run Shell Smash Dreadnought, still outspeed most things you want to outspeed, including Scarfers, because Dreadnought gets to 271, which is just about, still slower than the likes of Scarf, Meowscarada and that, but I think this outspeeds, does it outspeed Valiant? No, you're still slower than Valiant. You at the end of the day, you still outspeed base 110 Choice Scarfers, and you also have a really solid ability. Well, you have solid abilities which don't really come into play too often, but Shell Armor, you can't get crit, so it means that you're not gonna get cheesed by a random crit that's gonna be killing Dreadnought. You have White Herb, so you know you can offset your defense drops from Shell Smash, and you know Blastoise is just hitting much less harder than Dreadnought can on the physical side compared to Blastoise on the special side. So offensively, Blastoise has no business doing anything on water. Now defensively, Blastoise probably suffered the most out of the Gen 1 starters because it lost Scald, which was a pretty good move for it because, you know, utility sets would run Rapid Spin, you know, Scald, Toxic, and then like either Protect, or, you know, even in some tiers it's been running Seismic Toss throughout the generations. But now you don't have Seismic Toss, you don't have Scald, and you also don't have Toxic. So why do you want to be running Blastoise defensively as a spinner? Because Spin is a pretty good niche for water teams, because water has no defoggers other than Cramorant and Swanna, which, you know, aren't really good Pokemon, but you know, is even outclassing the spin roll by Quaquaval, which Quaquaval has is not passive in the slightest. 120 attack means that Quaquaval is never going to be passive in any capacity. You also have Moxie to boost your attack stat if you manage to get a kill, which makes Quaquaval very dangerous, because if you invest in bulk, then you're able to take hits, and then if you're at +1 attack, most likely or not, you're going to be killing something with close combat, and then you also get another attack boost. You also have Aqua Step and you know, Rapid Spin to boost your speed even more, and Quaquaval can just be a general win con. Even if it's not running full max attack, max speed, like it can have some HP investment, some speed investment, some defense investment, all of that good stuff. Oops, I closed the team builder by accident. But yeah, it also has Roost. You know, it has reliable recovery, and Blastoise is just so easy to wear down and does not have reliable recovery like Recover, or, you know, does it still get Life Dew? Yeah, it has Life Dew, which is 25% compared to Recover, Roost, you know, all of the healing moves 50%. So why are you using Blastoise? You're not using Blastoise. Again, it's just outclassed utility wise, it's outclassed offensive wise, because why am I using Blastoise with 85 special attack when, you know, you have Greninja 103 special attack with Protein, 122 speed, Keldio's massive 129 special attack, 108 speed. You know, like, it just doesn't do anything for the type, and whether it gets ranked or not on the viability rankings is clearly just going to be unranked, or most of all D rank. Like, I would put Blastoise on D rank just for the sake of Shell Smash, because it's still not a useless Pokemon if you manage to get +2 special attack, +2 speed. It's just generally outclassed by Dreadnought in that department. And then, like, again, I still wouldn't personally rank this, but, you know, the most I'll give it is D rank. At least I can say for Charizard, I think Charizard is still ranked on the 5 viability rankings, either C or D tier mon, and then I'd probably give Venusaur D rank as well on grass, unrank on poison. So overall, what can I say about the Gen 1 starters? These guys aren't the worst group. You know, we're going to be going over much worse starters as, you know, this series continues, but overall they're not particularly impressive in the Gen 9 Monotype metagame, and you know, they're not mons that you want to be running on teams. Now, either way, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this you know, content, and let me know down below what your favorite Generation 1 starter is, or am I sleeping on some of these guys too much in Gen 9 Monotype? Because frankly, I don't believe I'm sleeping on any of them. These guys are just mid as hell, or even worse than mid. I'll give Charizard the benefit of the doubt because it's just the nuke and sun, but other than that, Blastoise and Venusaur don't have any business on their types really. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.